Hello, everyone. Hopefully you have been able to find me. Unfortunately, the regular place at Witness Talk Radio, YouTube, and Facebook is not working, and it would not. Hello, everyone. Hopefully you have been able to find me. Unfortunately, that's weird. Let me see if I can figure this out. The regular place at Witness Talk Radio, YouTube, and Facebook is not working, and it. Okay. Danielle, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Let's try this again.
Right on. Woo!
Well, we are broadcasting live on YouTube. I am going to hit record so that just in case I want to add this to Facebook, I can do it. So I hope that you have found this wherever you are. As I was saying, this is not, for whatever reason, it is not broadcasting live today on Wellness Talk Radio and through Facebook and YouTube. So I'm on my own YouTube channel because I really want to share this amazing person with you all out there. I've known Danielle Agnew for probably like 8 years now, I believe, Danielle. And she is amazing. I hope that you all are doing well. So now that we're into a new month, May, and the energy is so intense and high, and a lot is coming this month. Towards the end of this month, we have an eclipse, and we have a new moon next week, and then a full moon with an eclipse towards the end of the month. And there's just a lot of energies. It's springtime in the Northern Hemisphere, and there is just a lot of new happening. And so what are you doing? Are you still doing your practice where you look yourself in the eye and tell yourself that you love you? And if not, why? Pay attention to if you have a resistance to that. What's coming up when you do that? It's really important that you learn to love yourself more, because that is what will transform your life into what you want it and make your dreams come true, is putting more love and more focus on yourself and getting to know yourself better. What are those undiscovered gifts and talents that you have that you're meant to share with the world, because you have some and you want to know what those are. So my guest today is a perfect person to talk to because she communicates with angels. She is a renowned psychic medium. She's a musician. She's an author. She's a media personality. She's an actress. She's an activist. She was born and raised in Billings, Montana. She was a lead singer in the rock band Pope Jane and lived in LA for a number of years before coming back here and marrying the love of her life, Rebecca. And they both live here, and she's just an amazing being and a soul sister. And I just love being able to share all sorts of things in this life and ideas and really focusing on love. She even ran for public office, and that was her motto, so to speak, was lead with love. And I just love that. So Danielle, would you join me on here live, please?
Absolutely. Hi, Dawna.
Hi,
Hi.
Danielle. Yay.
Yay. This is
So
awesome.
yes. So why don't you tell people a little bit about what you do? Because you have, I didn't even mention your upcoming show, Road Angel, that you've been filming. So why don't you give people a little idea of what that is and what that's about, and then some of the other stuff that you're doing or have done.
Sure. Well, Donna's referring to a television show that I'm in the process of shooting right now called The Road Angel. And they follow me all around, and I get to go from town to town, and I get to roll in and help people with angelic messages. And this is private people that just have messages that come through for them. And I also get a chance to help the community. And we focus on Road Angel in smaller towns. Because when you turn on TV, Dawna, and there's always like some big fabulous, deal with a big fancy town. But a lot of times the small towns don't get much attention. Mm-hmm. So we're focusing on that in Road Angel. And we're still in production. And as soon as I can let everybody know where to watch it, I will. I can't do that quite yet because we're still in production mode. But that's coming up. That's going to be awesome. And so when I'm not doing Road Angel, I'm doing these types of readings for folks on the phone. I used to do them more in person, but with COVID, it's mostly on the phone now. And I get the opportunity to read for folks all over the world. And Dawna and I talk about that, about, wow, what's that like, right? You're reading for people. Whoa. Right. And so, I'm just excited to be here with you today. And I'm so happy you got your show launched. This is super.
Yes, I'm so excited. And I just can't wait to, continue and see how it transforms and hope and eventually get my call board up. And I'm sorry that it's not working today. I was supposed to go live with my call board today. I will give you that number for future because I am sure that it's going to be up by next week. And so next week you can call into 517-208-1500 and I can take your call live and we can do a little mini reading. I can pull some tarot cards if you want. We can just talk about what's going on in your life and have you feel loved and supported and seen and heard and validated, because we are all suffering from something. We're all recovering from something, right? There's a lot of suffering in the world and we need each other because we are better together. We can get through things much better by being with friends, being with loved ones, being with support. And that's what I want this show to be, is a place of support and love and light. And, I want people to feel comfortable coming and sharing what's going on in their world and how they've overcome traumas that they've been through, just like you and I have been through different traumas in our life and how we've overcome them. And I think that sharing our stories help to give other people hope, because they may be where we were, or they may be in something similar. And, there's everybody has something they can share. And so I want to talk to you. I want to hear what your story is. I want to hear what you're doing in your life. And I wish that we could take callers today because Danielle is a fabulous person to talk to. So Danielle, we'll have you do this at the end also, but just really quick, if somebody wanted to reach out to you to get a reading from you, to because you offer 30-minute and 1-hour sessions, correct?
Yes.
So what would be the best way for someone to find you and reach out to you?
It would be my website. And you all can head over there. It's Danielle Agnew. My last name is EGNEW-advisor.com. If you just go to DanielleAgnew.com, you're going to get a weird redirected site because that's all my music stuff that I'm redoing. But DanielleAgnew-advisor.com, and it'll say right there, schedule a reading. It's so easy. You can pick your date, you can pick your time. So it works out for your schedule, and you can even reschedule with 24 hours in advance if something comes up for you with the available dates. And I would just really encourage people to go to the website because it's so easy to want to make those connections on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. But I really don't do a lot. I don't do any Facebook readings at all. And I don't book readings off of Facebook because there's too many scams out there and that's how they hook people. So if you're going to read with me, you got to go to my website and book, and I'd love to talk to you.
Yes. And Danielle is fabulous at being able to give insight. And we were talking about this earlier, and I just want to mention this to people because there is misconception about what is a psychic, what can a psychic tell me?
Oh yeah, well, big misconceptions. Yes.
Yes. And so what are some of the misconceptions that you get a lot that maybe you can address here for people?
Oh, okay. First of all, Dawna, I love you so much for putting this question out because I think it's so important for people to understand that people who do what I do, people like Dawna who does what Dawna does, we are people, okay? We are people. So if you're looking for the omnipotent answer of all things, I always say there's one being I know that can handle that for you, that spirit creator God, that's free. Listen to the God within you. It'll tell you anything. What human beings can do is, especially with my particular gift set, is I translate for your angelic beings. Now, angels aren't people. So a common misconception I have is that people will call and say, oh my God, just tell me what these angels want me to know, because I don't know what it is I need to know, but they know what I need to know. Big misconception. That's a big, because actually angels are here to help us with that which we seek aid on. They are messengers. They are not micromanagers. They're not narcissists. They're not bossy people who are like, what you need to know is this. So when you go to a psychic, if you have questions, okay, ask the questions, ask them. I mean, I've seen this a lot, Dawna, in my 15 plus years, 16 years. Whoa, wow, 16 years of doing this, that sometimes people will play what they call test the psychic to see if they can really trust you. And I'll just tell y'all this. Don't waste your money testing people. Good heavens, donate that money to a homeless shelter, okay? I mean, honestly, if you're going to call Dawna, if you're going to call me, we can both absolutely help you. So come with your questions. And it's always sad to me when somebody has a half an hour and they want to use the first 10 minutes of that half an hour, seeing how much my psychic ability can impress them. You know, I'm like, man, if you want to spend your money that way, knock yourself out. But I could have given you 10 minutes of like killer information that comes straight from your angels if you were just confident enough to ask your question. And Dawna, I found that a lot of times well-meaning people lead in with the whole thing of, well, just tell me what they want me to know, because they don't want to feel like they're stepping or directing the reading or stepping on the reading. And I think people, need to recognize that there's a lot of faith that we can have in this process. And I or Dawna am not going to get any information for you that you shouldn't have. And the universe is not going to withhold information from you that you're supposed to have. So, we don't need to trick the universe to see if it knows what we need, but we're not trying to step on it. But, oh my God, I've read too many metaphysical books and now I don't know how to do this. It's just ask the question. We're here to help you.
Yes. Yes. And with that, we can't read minds. And that's what I found is people will be like, well, what am I thinking? I don't know. I can't read your mind. Or I'll have people get really nervous around me. Like, well, you're going to know what I'm thinking. It's like, no, I'm not. Like you said, we're human, we're human beings. We all have gifts, and ours, well, similar, are different in how we receive information and messages, and that sort of thing. And I get the messages from angelic beings as well, but just differently than Danielle does. And I interact with them a little bit differently than Danielle does, but we both get messages. And I know both of our intent is always for someone's highest good and to get what information is going to serve them better. for their
Yes.
life.
Yes.
At the same token, we can't tell you what to do. You know, sometimes people come and they want to know, well, what should I do? Should I stay in this relationship or should I get out? Should I take this job or that job? You know, and while we can give them energetically how it feels and how it looks,
Mhm.
that sort of thing, it's not our job to to decide for someone else.
Right. Right. That is very, very true. And to add to that point, Dawna, I know that can be frustrating for people because you're calling somebody like Dawna or like me because you want an answer. Here's the deal, is that someone like me or someone like Dawna is going to point you to that answer that you have in there. You have it in there. And those angels, when I'm chatting with them up and they're telling me all this stuff, they know you have it in there too, right? We may not think we have it in there. A lot of times I go into the role of being the professional confirmer of what everybody already knew. Yes. People are like, oh God, I knew that. I just wasn't acting on it or whatever. And gang, I'm not here to belittle anybody or make anybody nervous about calling in for a reading. I'm simply saying that we know so much more than we give ourselves credit for knowing.
Absolutely.
And right. And what Dawna was saying, we don't read minds. That's a mentalist, and that's somebody who does have some clairsentient gift sets, but they're also watching body language. They're watching eye ticks. These are tricks that people who have Vegas shows will oftentimes employ. They're super fun. I love going to a mentalist show. However, that's not what we do.
Right.
So, another thing that a psychic is not, a misconception is that a psychic is here to prove to you that there is an afterlife or there's something to have faith in. If I can become, I guess, a visual aid for a person that helps them in their faith walk or helps them in understanding that they are more connected to the hereafter, that makes me feel terrific. Yet,
yeah.
I've occasionally, and I'm sure Dawna, that's true for you too. I've had occasionally people who are very upset, not very often, but after the reading, because they just didn't, the angels maybe didn't feel the way they thought they would, or they didn't hear God the way they thought they would. Or it's just very important to remember that, again, we're people and we are translators and we're here to translate for you. We are here to serve your needs, but you got to bring your needs, And one more thing, if I just may, Dawna, I'll
yes,
kick it back to you, is a lot of times I will get people who call and they will say, and sometimes this is really true, but they will say, I don't know why I'm calling. I just thought this would be fun. Okay, great. But let's work. Usually there's a reason. Somebody's calling me on the phone. It's because Spirit put us together for a reason. And maybe the person, right? Maybe they just think they're having fun and it's a no-brainer. Yet don't be afraid to literally look in yourself to ask those questions, because that's so important that we bring our awareness and desire into a session, because that's what universe responds to.
Right. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And yeah, trust your instincts. You have the divine within you. We are all spiritual beings having a physical experience. And part of our journey in this life is to remember who we are, to remember that we are that spiritual being that is connected to the divine, that is connected to each other. That's why, you can think about somebody, all of a sudden they pop in your mind, and chances are it's because they are thinking about you and sending those telepathic brain waves towards you, those thoughts, because we are connected telepathically as spiritual beings. And we are, which is why it doesn't matter what color somebody's skin is. It doesn't matter what gender they are. It doesn't matter what their sexual preference is. It doesn't matter what they do for a living. What matters is who they are inside as a spiritual being. And everyone has value. Everyone matters. Everyone has something to share. Everyone has something of value. And we are put here to remember that we are those spiritual beings, to learn our soul lessons, whatever that is. And each one of us has something different, but together we can help each other along our evolution, our spiritual awakening, our remembering that we are spiritual beings connected to the divine, and we have all the answers within us. We have all of that. And our job is to be love. It is not to condemn or criticize or cut out or ostracize anyone. It is to find the value within everyone and be that treasure seeker, right? Inside of everyone, because everyone has value and everyone has something that they can offer. I believe everyone is a teacher for at least one other person in this world. And there's what, over 6 billion people?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
knocking on 8 now. It's getting crazy. Yeah. So, or we were. Yeah. So it's true. I mean, we have so much that we're here to do. And when you are a person who is receiving messages and your job is to help people with their own messages,
Right.
then what's so important in that job is to be a very transparent translator. You know, it's not up to me to decide the value of the information. It's not up to me to make a value judgment on the person that I'm reading for. I am literally, when I'm doing that job, a translator for the information. And these angels are nothing but balls of love. Sometimes they tell us things that maybe we don't necessarily want to hear in that moment, but it's not because they're trying to tough love us. And the way they do it is very ingestible. I've had people, Dawna, say to me, you know, I need you to just be really more honest with me. I'm thinking, I'm being pretty rot gut here, but it's the way that the angels put it. So people will hear it, right? You can tell messages that come from source, because messages that come from source aren't going to scare you to death.
Right.
They're not going to freak you out.
Right.
They're not going to be like, the day you die is what.
No.
Not spirit messages. I'm just letting you know.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's about serving. And for me, I view it as I'm just the conduit. I'm just the vessel that is here to serve others with these gifts. And so the messages that come through, they're not mine. They're not for me. They're for the person that I'm talking to. They're for the person I'm serving. And
Right.
a lot of times I don't even remember, I'll have somebody come back and they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, we talked about this last time. I'm like, oh, okay, we did. Because I don't hold it on, that would be a lot to hold on to every that comes through, like for every person that you talk to. It's not for me. So I release all of that. It's for them. And it's an honor to me to be able to serve people in that capacity. And I'm grateful for my gifts. I'm grateful that I've finally stepped into them and am sharing them with people, because I love helping people in a variety of ways,
Yeah.
That's one of them. So let's talk about what else. So you have some books out there.
I do. Yes, I do.
And so tell us about those.
So I've got 2 books out, and the first one that I wrote, it's about 173 pages. It's not super long. It's called True Tales of the Truly Weird, Real Paranormal Accounts from a Real Psychic, because apparently I couldn't put enough words in that title. So that, if you like kind of weird paranormal things, UFOs, ghosts, each chapter is its own freestanding story of the most bizarre stuff I've ever encountered as a person who works in my field. And that was really fun to write, because there's some weirdo ghosts. They're all true, 100% true. Weirdo ghost stories, alien abduction stories. I had that happen. That was great. So, all these different strange things. That's my first book. My second book, totally different, is 365 Lessons for Lifetime Growth. And it's called Daily Spiritual Insight. And
Mm.
that book was more of a channeled work, if you will. I was working with
Mhm.
angels on that book. And each day there is just one message and one exercise, you could call it, to meditate on the whole day, like to put into play the whole day. There's a
Mhm.
lesson there. So
I
if you
love
take
that.
one a day, right, and you just do that one a day, I've had people get that book and they'll just like flip to a random page and stick their finger down instead of going like the first day
Mhm.
that they get it,
Mhm.
whatever. And they say that works really well too. So
Yes.
those are the two books I've got, and you can get them on Amazon. You can, if you're in Billings, Montana, you can get them down at Barjohn's Books in Billings. So yeah, those are my works. And Dawna, I have a feeling you've got some books coming, and I can't wait to read those when they come out.
Yes, yes. Working on.
Yes, they're going to be great.
Yes, yeah, thank you. You were also the lead singer for Pope Jane,
Yes.
and that music you can still find, correct?
Yeah, you
Yes.
can. If you go on to iTunes, you
Mhm.
can still find Pope Jane up there on iTunes and Stitcher. And my God, I mean, Spotify, everything that streams these days, you can find Pope Jane still. And it's funny because sometimes I'll be walking through a store and I'll be hearing some song and I'll be like, God, I really like that song. I like that chick's voice. I'm like, oh my God, that's Pope Jane. That's on somebody's Spotify. Wow.
I
Yeah,
love it.
it's so funny. And you can also find my music. It's just out there under me too, because I still release solo stuff, even though
Right.
Propane is taking a break. We haven't recorded anything for many years,
Mhm.
but you can just find my music also, especially on Spotify under Danielle Agnew. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
all there.
Yes, I was just going to say, and you had recorded some stuff, especially like if you have trouble falling asleep, she's got some great angelic music for helping you fall asleep. And I know I used that for several years to help me just
Aw,
in my mind. And yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful music. So definitely check that out on Spotify or iTunes. Look for Danielle Agnew and Pope Jane. That was
yeah.
there was a lot of great music there for sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, that was honestly, that was probably one of my most fun um, musical ventures ever was Pope Jane. Just because
Mhm.
working with Kristen and Holly is one of the big fat joys of my life. They're such incredible musicians. They are so amazing to play with. They made my job as the singer in that band and the guitar player so easy. And when we were doing all the touring back in the day with Anna Nancy Wilson and Joan Jett and all the folks,
Mhm.
I was just always so proud to be on stage with them. What a
Yes.
cool way to spend your 20s and 30s. It
Oh,
was a cool experience.
absolutely. What a cool experience. Yes. Yeah, that is incredible. And you lived in LA and
Yeah.
got to go to different Hollywood parties and I know it's different back then than
Yeah.
it is now, but still, what a cool experience. And then you came back to your roots, back to Billings, and have been back now for how long? 10 years?
Wow. Okay. So this will be interesting to figure out. Since November, actually October 22nd of 2013.
Oh,
So
okay.
what is that? 14,
So
15, 16,
8 years.
Yeah. Coming up on 8
Yeah.
years here.
Yes.
God, that time has flown by. That's so weird.
I
Wow.
know. I know. Yeah. And I think I met you shortly after you moved back. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We've known each other about that long. Yep.
That's crazy.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Well, Billings is, I moved back after being gone for 5 years. And in some ways, it's like I never left,
Yeah.
but then
Yes.
in other ways, it's like, yeah, a lot has changed and Billings is growing and evolving. Now, you ran for office, city council, right? Or mayor?
I did. I ran for mayor, which
Yeah.
actually is a city council position. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I loved I don't know what you call it, if you call it your motto or your campaign slogan.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Yeah, of lead with love. And I just remember when I would come to town and seeing those all over the little lead with love stickers or yard signs or whatever. And that is just such a good thing to keep in mind to live our lives with, because if you are leading with love, if you're leading from your heart, if you're letting your heart control your life, not your ego,
Mhm.
you're going to make
Mhm.
different, chances are you're going to make different decisions, and therefore you're going
Yes.
to have different outcomes.
Yes. Yes,
Right.
that's true. And one of the things, I had this weird impulse to run for mayor. And I've worked on different campaigns for other people or initiatives or whatever. I'd never been a political candidate before. So I thought, well, if we're going to do this, we need to send a message that's much bigger than, hi, I'm Danielle, and you should vote for me because blah. I mean, I put that out there. I had all my cool plans and all the things. However, I really felt like the biggest impact I could have as a human being was to go into an area that can oftentimes be considered contentious and bring a different vibe into it. And that was politics.
Mhm.
And I mean, yes, of course, I would have loved to have won. It wasn't about, oh, I don't care if I win or not. No, I wanted to win. I didn't think I probably had that great of a shot at it. Just coming from being an out there psychic and an out there lesbian and things that most people don't care about, but some people do. And Billings can be a bit of more of a conservative place. And a woman had not run for mayor in Billings in over 50 years.
Wow, really?
I know.
That's
I
crazy.
Me and Councilwoman Angela Sanino were both running as women at the same time. And she was just delightful. We just, another Italiana, we just got along. And one of the things I thought was really important is when we would go to these marathons, I was so dang nervous, Dawna. Oh my God, the first one, I about threw up in my own mouth. It was at the Fortin Center, the Culinary Center. And I'm thinking to myself, I've been in front of 20,000 people, 50,000 people playing music, not a big deal. But the minute you're on that hot spot as the person with all the political answers, I'm like, oh my God. But I handled it barely, but I did. And one of the things that really struck me is that I loved it. I loved it. I loved being in the place of accountability where the buck could just stop with you, and it wasn't, well, I'm going to blame all these things. If I didn't know, I said I didn't know. If I knew, I said, here's what I know. If I had a plan, there was my plan. I love the opportunity to bring in that different energy. And when they asked me, because it was the very first mayor debate, and there were seven of us in this
Wow.
primary.
Wow.
I know. And two folks didn't show up to this thing. So there was still five of us there. And the fellow who was running this little shindig would ask a question, he'd throw it to everybody. And he asked me a question about how do you separate yourself from your opponents? And I remember that just was wrong, because all the rest of those four people were delightful, well-meaning people. We all had different plans for the city, but those people weren't what I was fighting against. And the first thing that flew out my mouth was, well, actually, none of these people are my opponents. I am not running against any one of them. I am running on these ideas that I have, which will either resonate with voters or it won't. But I'm not here to battle anyone. This isn't a battle. It's a presentation of ideas. And these are my mayoral candidate colleagues. We are all presenting our ideas. So first and foremost, they're not my opponents. And secondly, here's my ideas. And it set the tone for the entire race.
Beautiful.
And it was amazing, Dawna. The Billings Gazette was doing articles saying candidates lead with love in the most civil mayoral campaign Billings has ever experienced. And there was a lot of us. So this could have gotten real nasty and real gnarly. And I mean, if somebody wanted to get really mean towards me, let's just be super blunt here. I was pretty low-hanging fruit. Somebody could have taken an easy swing there. I've got 1,000 different things in my life, and not one person did, because I didn't have that desire to go after them. Right. Therefore, they didn't have a desire to go after me.
Right.
And so to me, it was such a successful campaign. And I'm very proud to say that the energy of that campaign, only about 22,000 people voted for mayor in Billings. And I got a little over 2,000 of those votes out of 7 people. Now, it probably doesn't sound like a whole lot. That's 8% of the vote. And if you compare that to other political campaigns, somebody whose stats I happen to know, like a Bernie Sanders type person, Bernie's campaign, the first time he ran, the very first time he ran, he only got 6% of the vote. So I was very impressed that in this, right, that in this, and for the people that voted and participated. So it's kind of a long-winded story, but it goes to your point, Dawna, that if we come together, we are better together. If we stop attacking one another, I mean, it's one thing to call something out that needs attention. Perhaps there's an issue that could use some accountability. That's different than so-and-so is a blah, blah, blah. I mean, you know, it's different to say, wow, that's a pretty crazy idea somebody has, as opposed to that person is a bad, crazy person. You know, those are different ideals.
Yes, yes, I completely agree. And I think that's so beautiful that you set that tone and reminded everyone that you're not there to be enemies. You're not there to attack each other. And everybody is a human. Everybody's made mistakes. And there's no reason to drag everyone's dirty laundry out in front of everyone. Nobody wants to see that. I know me, I can hardly stand watching the news because I don't, especially during election time.
Oh God. Oh God.
So ugly. It's so, you know, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, tell me what you're going to do and how you're going to fix the problems that we have, right?
Yes.
It's not, I don't care. I don't care what the other person has done. I don't care what they're saying you've done. Just tell me what you're going to do, you know?
Yes.
Because we all have a past. We all have things that poor choices that we've made in our past. We all have those. Nobody is exempt from that. And if you think you are, look in the mirror and double check yourself, because nobody is perfect and everybody has made mistakes, and some people more than others, but it doesn't make that person a reason to throw them or discard them. It doesn't reduce their value in life. They still have value. Everybody still has value. Everyone has a future. I love that saying, you know, every sinner has every saint has a past and every sinner has a future.
Yes.
We all have futures. It's up to us it's up to you to change your life, to take responsibility, to make those choices. If you don't like how your life looks right now, if you don't like the direction it's going in, you can change it. And only you. Take responsibility. Call, you know, connect with Danielle, connect with me, connect with somebody else that you trust, that you feel drawn to. If you need some insight, if you need some additional help, you want some answers, some guidance from your angelic beings, reach out, you know, talk to somebody that you love and that you know is going to be honest with you and going to be supportive of you. We need each other.
Yes, we do.
Yes. And sometimes we do need that mirror of having conversations with people that have integrity, that will have our best interests at heart, and that will say, you know, call us out, you know, are you really happy on this path? You don't seem like you are. So, you know.
Yeah, this is not a good path to be on. And one of the things that you said that I think is so profound on it is that when we are making choices, okay, those choices are ours to make. I'm not saying I haven't lost my cool and called somebody something terrible at some point or another in my life, because I'm Italian and that happens occasionally, but I really work hard for it not to. You know, that's all I can do is just really work hard for it not to just go, what? You know, and you got that forget about it that comes out of you. You're like, oh my God. All right. However, that being said, gang, you know, we're all human. There's a point here to where we've got to take responsibility for our own choices. Mm-hmm. And I take full responsibility for things that come out my mouth, for the mood I was in when I said that. and we have to take responsibility. We can't blame the angels. We can't blame the universe. It's not God's fault because God hates us. We have such a hard time. I feel, Donna, I feel that we have such a hard time societally oftentimes, and just taking responsibility for screw ups or maybe bad behavior or weirdo choices. And our life, we want a quick fix too, the silver bullet. We were talking at the top of the interview here about, what do you ask a psychic?
Right.
And one of the common, I think, misconceptions out there, that's the way I'd look at it for people, is that there's one big silver bullet spiritually, that if you just did this one thing, it would take care of everything. Now, maybe that's true in your life, and rock on for you if that's true. Good for you. I've never seen it just be one thing, though.
No.
Not one. And, I would tell folks out there that if you're frustrated when you call someone like me or Donna because you're not getting the one thing that will fix everything, you're just going to have to stay frustrated, because there's no such thing as a quick fix.
Right.
Not for our emotional issues, not for our spiritual issues. I can help you, or Donna can help you, or someone else can help you put your finger on what's giving you a hard time so that you can work further on it. Yet I wish I could hand everybody a little shot of feel better and say, here you go, do it. Woo, we're good now. Yay. But it just doesn't seem to be the way the process works, in my observation.
Right. That exactly, because everybody has to take responsibility and they have to do their own work. We can't do someone else's work for them. And everybody is on their own journey. That old adage, that old saying of, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. We can tell you all the things that we get, but it's ultimately, it's up to you to implement. It's up to you to do the work. It's up to you to forgive yourself for past mistakes. It's up to you to forgive other people for perceived wrongs. It's up to you to let that stuff go. If you have traumas, if you have hurt, and we all do, it's up to you to let those go. And it's up to you to choose not to let them impact your future, and to learn from them, and to grow from them, and to make your life the way that you want it, because you can't have your life be anything that you want, but you have to take responsibility and believe and lead from your heart, lead with love. Connect more to your heart and soul, and let go of your ego. Do that work on your ego. And I really think that that's part of the problem with our country and our society today, is it's so egocentric. It's so ego driven. It's so much about stuff. I have to have all this stuff to be okay, to be quote unquote successful. I have to have all these things to be quote unquote happy, but that doesn't make people happy. The more stuff they have does not make them more happier. Yes, it's nice to have enough money that you don't have to worry about paying your day-to-day bills and taking care of yourself if you need to go to the doctor. It's nice to have that, and it does make it easier if you have enough for that, to have food and clothes and a roof over your head. But having all these stuff, all this materialistic, that this country especially is so driven to, that's the ultimate dream. That's what's going to make you happy. I know people that have lots of money that are miserable.
Yes.
Because they lost touch with what's really important. And what's really important is this human to human contact, valuing people. And it starts with yourself. It starts with looking yourself in the eye and telling yourself you love yourself. Tell yourself that you're going to tell yourself the truth. In this moment, in this day, I trust myself and I tell myself the truth. Start there. Put your hand on your heart, connect your heart to your soul, and listen. Take a few minutes out and listen every day. Go for a walk in nature, interact with animals. Step back from the rat race, so to speak, from society's definition of what happiness is, because it doesn't work. And we've proven that time and time and time and time and time again. Society's ideals don't work. And hopefully people are starting to wake up to that and realize that the person that has control over whether or not you are happy is the person that you see when you look in the mirror.
Bingo, bingo. And that's so hard because if we really break down America's culture, right? We've been, it's an addictive culture. It's a
Yeah.
shame-based culture. Here, let me give you more sugar, you'll feel better. Let me give you these drugs, you'll feel better. And I'm not taking away from people who take medicines that help them get through the day. I mean, obviously we don't live in 1610, so, you know, explore medical care. Yet I'm just speaking more from the perspective of our sociopathic consumerist push mentality where, oh, don't like your body, let me sell you this product to make you skinny.
Right.
Hey, gentlemen, let me sell you this product to make you more virile. There's always something wrong with you in America.
Right.
Because if there's something wrong with you, then we can sell you something, right? And fear sales in America, my God. So Dawna, I know you and I have talked about this a ton, but I'll just share this with your listeners.
Yes.
I work in media, right? And I've done so much television. And back in the day in the mid 2000s, I would be the psychic who would walk on to the Ghost Hunter show. And I did a lot of pilots, and some of them hit the air and some of them never did. And I did a lot of just shows that were on the air. And the thing that I found that was so remarkable is that back in the day with these ghost shows, they wanted people to be scared. Now, it's really hard to scare people on a ghost hunting show when what you've got is a bunch of IR cameras looking at black and white grainy pictures over and over again where nothing's happening. Okay. So they bring on somebody like me, and I'm the psychic and I can talk to the ghosts, which is a thing I do. And they want me to get out there, and I would have a little earbud in, and I would have what's called a line producer on the show. And they'd be talking to me in my earpiece, and they'd be saying things like, okay, act really scared right here. And I would just ignore them and keep walking. And they'd be like, is your earpiece on? You know, touch your chin if the earpiece is on. And I touch my chin. They knew I could hear them. I was just ignoring them because they wanted me to be terrified and scared and blah. And I didn't want to do that because then I'm teaching people who are honestly at the time that these shows were on, people were learning about the paranormal. They were learning how to ghost hunt, right? I didn't want to be that person who like freaked out about every single ghost because it's stupid and ghosts aren't that scary anyway. I mean, sometimes there's a handful, but I mean, honestly, so my point being is that fear sells in America. And I got into it with more than one producer who said, you need to get back out there next time. We're going to call a cut. And this is reality TV, right? They call it soft scripting, where they talk in your ear and they want you to say certain things. And once in a blue moon, I would do that because it helped us to get to the next scene. If it was just something innocuous, like, hey, let's go through this blue door, you know, that helps the editor cut. But that's not misleading people because we actually went through the blue door, you know. So it's a statement that I'm making on fear selling, on shame selling in America. And what Dawna's talking about, what I love, Dawna, so much about you, girl, is you are all about the love. And I appreciate that beyond belief. Because without that love, we can't come together. We just can't make it happen. And we can't see past our differences or our feathers getting ruffled or whatnot. And once we are in that love zone, the shame buttons are harder to push in us too. And then we don't buy as much crap to numb ourselves out. And we can be far more present to be part of the solution, which is always a big rush.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. And, you know, staying out of fear is so important. I know it's easy sometimes to get sucked into that, but I can tell you right now, fear lowers your immunity and makes you more susceptible to catching viruses and colds and also then getting depressed and all of that, just not feeling the best. So trust yourself, and goes back to connecting your heart to your soul and listening to yourself, because you have all the answers within. You have the connection to the divine. This is not anything new. You are a spiritual being having a physical experience. And so trust. If something doesn't feel right, trust yourself. If something feels off, trust yourself. If something seems too good to be true, trust your gut, don't give your money then to that person. Trust, trust yourself,
Yes.
right? So Danielle, we're almost out of time. And before we end, I just would love it if you would just share a message for the listeners from Angels, as far as continuing on our message and stuff like that. But I'm sure that they have something that they would like to share with our listeners.
And I got this, I keep looking up and over while we're talking because I've got a couple of these angels up here who have been just talking to me the whole time. And for the most part, I try to ignore them because I'm talking to you, but every once in a while it's like squirrel. Oh, okay. So what I would tell everybody, and thanks, Dawna, for this opportunity to share with people. I got the angel who walks with, there is an angel that walks with the world. Now that sounds really weird, but just consider that this is sort of the main aggregator for big messages that are going to hit the planet. And we have other aggregators for messages like tarot cards or astrology. And Dawna, you do both of those things. So, these are the aggregated messages coming from this angel. And what they're talking to me about is that we are in such a time frame of the vibration on this planet shifting. And what does that mean? It means that, yes, this is a three-dimensional object, okay? I can have a fifth dimensional way of viewing this, meaning that I can view it with love, I can view it with compassion, or I can go into a very flat way of viewing it as a two-dimensional way of black or white, it's right or it's wrong, it's this or it's that. And so when you hear people talk about, they're getting me back on track, is what they're doing. When they hear people talking about like the vibes of the world getting up and down, it doesn't mean that we are, basically it's an issue of be patient with where people are at, because what they're talking about is this earth is never going to have an entire consensus full of people where everybody thinks the same thing at the same time.
Right.
Now, what they're talking about right here, and this is what they wanted to direct me to, they're like, no, is that if we can get to, even if we have disagreements, even if we've got to muddy through the water just a little bit in procedural issues, is what they're talking about. If we can get to a place of coming at that from a place of love, from a place of wanting to understand each other and all the differences, that's really going to be our next lesson for the next 2 years. It's going to be what mainstream fear mongering really has a problem with, which is coming to the middle. It's coming to the center of the self. It's centering. If you're to look at that in a personal issue, it's centering. If you're to look at that in a political issue, it's coming to the middle and compromise and building on great ideals brought by everybody. And you'll notice that any organization that makes money on fear and polarization likes to demonize that balance point in the middle.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, being a moderate or being a this, or you don't stand for anything.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. And that is a learning tool too. That's a statement on the fear of a loss of identity of folks who would throw that rock.
Right.
So be it. So the message from this angel, and I'll get on this. They're like, she's running out of time, dude. Get to the end. The message is be patient. Be patient, as patient and loving as you can. Do find your voice. Do speak up respectfully. We will also need to be holding a stewardship or a circle or a boundary on that which is important to us, but we don't need to do it in a gross way. And we don't need to do it in a way that like runs people off and alienates people. That boundary is there so that we can link it with other boundaries and make a really big boundary when you put them all together, like a Lego. You might make your own Lego, but this is the time of putting them together. So just understand we've got a little of that coming. Exercise your own come togetherness, and it's going to make this next 2 years a lot easier.
Yes, I love that. Yes. And really try to put love out into the world on a regular basis, daily basis. I do it with my meditation every morning. The world needs more love. The world needs more understanding. And seek first to understand before you judge someone, because they may have a really good reason why they're the way they are. It may have been some past traumas that was beat into them as a child, for instance,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and now you're just discarding them without really understanding why they're being the way that they are. And so everybody has value. Try to find what the value is. Think of it like a treasure hunt. What does this person have to offer? Because chances are you can learn something from everyone. And even if they seem like they're at the polar opposite of you, just know that they were created here too, to help. Sometimes our biggest, the people that irritate us the most are, or hurt us the most, or challenge us the most, are our biggest teachers, because they help us evolve and they help us learn how we don't want to be, learn what kind of relationship we don't want to be in, learn how we don't want to treat other people, or how we don't want to be treated. They help us define who we are, right? And so they're truly gifts, even though you can be very annoyed with them. you know it's part of life. It's part of what we chose to do when we came here, is
Yeah.
to learn these lessons. And to learn lessons, we have to have challenges, and that's not always pretty, and it's not always fun, and it's not always easy, and there's usually pain involved. But that's what's beautiful, is we get to peel back layers. And yeah, there's going to be more that comes up, because we're not done. We're still on this planet. We're still in this consciousness, right? We're still
Right.
in our bodies. And until the day we decide to leave this world and transition to just being a spirit, make the best of it, and go meet that neighbor. They may become one of your biggest friends and supporters. You just don't know what somebody has to offer until you try to find out. And seek out people to help you, to support you. And so, Danielle, as we wrap up, thank you so much for being on today. I so appreciate it. Next week, I'm going to have this incredible woman I met in Ecuador. Her first name, I can't even pronounce her full name, but her first name, she goes by Indy. And she was born behind the Iron Curtain in Hungary. And she now lives in Ecuador. And she's a beautiful being, beautiful soul. She moved there with her 6-year-old daughter. And I'm super excited to have her on. And then I'm going to be on her show the very next day. So it's going to be a 2-day thing next week on Wednesday and Thursday. And I'll put more information out about that. But Danielle, remind people again how they can find you.
You can find me online, of course, at my website, which is Danielle Agnew, EGNEW-advisor.com. You can just shout out to me and say howdy on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, just Danielle Agnew, EGNEW. And I love to talk to people online, so that's a good thing. And if you want to catch my podcast, if you subscribe to Patreon and just go to Patreon/Danielle Agnew. I've actually got several subscription tiers there, yet you can start with a $5 a month subscription to my weekly hour-long podcast, which I've got to get you as a guest on, Dawna. Oh my God, that's so fun. Yes. So, I mean, that'll be great. So you can find me there too. And if you want to catch the archives of the podcast, you can also find that in Stitcher, Google+, Apple iTunes, Spotify, and just search Insight, INPSIGHT, Insight Radio with Danielle Agnew, and that will come.
Awesome. Yes, her podcasts are fantastic. You'll want to go listen to them. She's got some great insight and information out there that she shares. I especially love the year-end ones for looking ahead, and the money ones. And but she puts them out like every week, right?
Yes. And we got a little caught up. There was some hinks in the get along with our last podcast, getting them up there. And we had a miscommunication with the person who was putting them up there, but we got them all put up. And generally they're once a week, where you might get 2 in 1 week because maybe Road Angel kind of squeaked in there and busted my groove for the week before.
All good. All right. Well, thank you, Danielle. I so appreciate it. And thank you all for tuning in. I hope you're able to find us
Yes.
I'll try and put it out there on Facebook and everywhere. So
Yeah,
that
we'll
people
share it
can
around
get
and folks can
Yeah.
catch up on our awesome conversation we had.
Yes.